Earlier today, South Dakota Attorney General Marty Jackley unveiled his list of priorities for the upcoming legislative session.
He is asking lawmakers to, among other things, take action on data breaches and rules for sex offenders. But by far, his primary area of concern involves meth use and abuse here in the state. One possible change would increase the penalty for a meth dealer should their customer die from using the drug. But that's not all.
This is a solution, again, for South Dakota to say, you're not going to distribute methamphetamine here in our state.
Attorney General Jackley says South Dakota is in the grips of a meth epidemic that is overwhelming police, courts, and hospitals all over the state.
This is another attempt to make it clear that in South Dakota, the distribution and manufacture of methamphetamine will have very strict and stern consequences.
Among Jackley's proposals, a conviction for making and distributing meth would carry a maximum 15 years in prison and a $30,000 fine. If you're found with meth plus money, guns, or paraphernalia, 25 years in prison and a $50,000 fine. Give meth to a child, 50 years in prison and a $50,000 fine. Jackley is also asking lawmakers to set mandatory minimum sentences for meth-related crimes.
Methamphetamine continues to be the main driver of some of our public safety concerns in our city.
Sioux Falls Police Chief Matt Burns says he supports Jackley's meth initiatives, adding meth is an overwhelming part of the crime-fighting problem in the city.
85% of the cases that our drug task force works here involve methamphetamine.
Although Jackley is proposing a slew of new penalties for meth crimes, he tells us he doesn't believe enforcing them will further overwhelm a justice system that is already full to the brim where meth is concerned.
The hope is it will reduce both the deputies and police officers' investigation caseloads and ultimately the prosecution caseloads on possession and user cases.
And Lincoln County State's Attorney Tom Woolman says ultimately, if these proposals are enacted and successful, it will lead to decreasing workloads for those on the front lines of this battle against meth.
Hopefully the word gets out and people recognize that it's simply not worth it to bring meth to the state of South Dakota and distribute it.
Now, in addition to all of this focus on meth, Jackley is also asking lawmakers to require companies to inform South Dakota residents within 45 days of a data breach that involves financial information. Now, concerning human trafficking, Jackley wants a 25-year prison sentence for anyone who makes an attempt to traffic a minor for sex, regardless of whether the trafficking happens or not. Jackley also wants the state's sex offender registry to clarify its definition of schools and community safe zones.